All right. Hi, everybody. My name is Joe Bond, and I'm here to walk you through the Fantasy Six Pack Fantasy Football cheat sheet tool that we've got over there on fantasysixpack.net. And if you want access to this tool, along with our award winning rankings, our projections, our DFS and betting advice, and the ability to be able to ask us your custom league questions over on our Discord, and lots more, go ahead and go over to fantasysixpack.net/plans and sign up to become an all access member. You can use promo code F6P sheet, which I just popped up here on the screen, for 15% off. It'll be at the bottom of the screen the whole way throughout this presentation. But without further ado, let's jump into the cheat sheet and show you around here. So we've got 3 tabs here on the bottom: instructions, setup, and cheat sheet. I highly suggest, even though you're watching this video, there's an article on fantasysixpack.net to walk you through this sheet as well, to read the instructions page. It's going to go a little bit more in depth than the video and the article can. So go ahead and read through these. There's a bunch of steps that you should follow in order, and then a legend here at the bottom of all the columns that you're going to see over on the cheat sheet tab. But let's jump over to the setup page, and this is very important as well. First thing you're going to want to do is choose the site that you're playing on. And what this is going to do is it's going to change the ADP data that you are viewing on the cheat sheet. Now, again, the ADP is whatever the default is that the site releases. So some sites will release some sites half PPR, some sites will release PPR data. It is whatever they release to us. I don't have any control over that, unfortunately. However, it's still going to match what you're going to see in your draft room. So it's still very valuable to have on the cheat sheet. Again, it's just more data for you to use to your advantage as you're drafting with the data that the cheat sheet provides you. Next up is the scoring format. Now we've got preset values here for half PPR, PPR, and standard. We've also got Scott Fishbowl 13 at the time of releasing this video this year. It is probably past Scott Fishbowl time for most of you, but this will be updated next year for Scott Fishbowl 14 and in the future. But I'm going to leave it on half PPR, but just to show you real quick, it will update all of these scoring values below here in rows 5 through 24. So if I change it to PPR, you're going to see that, points per reception changes. If I change it to standard, you're going to see it goes to 0, and so on and so forth. So I'm going to put it back to half PPR. Now, you can customize this. Now, we've allowed you to customize any one of these values between B6 and B24. You can change passing touchdowns to 6. You can change interceptions to 0 or 5, whatever it is. You can add passing attempts, passing completions, pass incompletions. You can add rushing attempt score, like points per carry. You can change points per reception to 1.5. You can also add tight end premium points down here in B24. These are passing reception points that get applied to the tight end only. Now, one major note, and I put it here in red: if you change any of these values, even if you change the default drop down here in B3 back to something, it will no longer change that specific field that you customized. You have to then manually change it back. Once you change it manually, it loses the connection to the automatic grab of the data, unfortunately. So just for example, I will show you, if the biggest one, right, is obviously points per reception. So I'm going to change this to 0.75. Now, if I change this to PPR, you would think B21 is going to change to 1. It does not. So you're going to have to then manually do it. Or if you don't want to have to deal with that, you think you might have made a mistake, just re-download another copy. You have access to unlimited downloads on here. But I am going to change this back to 0.5 just for the sake of using half PPR data. The last thing you're going to want to do before you jump over to the cheat sheet tab is change your starting positions. Our default is 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 3 receivers, 1 tight end, and 1 normal flex, running back, receiver, tight end. We've got the ability to add just a running back receiver flex, a wide receiver tight end flex, or the all popular super flex. So update that as you will. It will then change the values of the players on the cheat sheet tab, and I'll show you that here in a second. On the cheat sheet tab, so what you're going to see here is a whole lot of data. I'm going to run through it real quick and explain what is what. Obviously, name, team, buy, and position, and I think even projected score are fairly obvious. Projected score is going to be based off of the scoring, the scoring values that you put in over on the setup tab. Those are pretty static numbers. The projected score uses our projections to give that total there. What we're going to see here, though, is ADP. So we were using the Sleeper ADP. This is the actual ADP data coming from Sleeper. And then over in column K, we give a rank based off of that ADP data. So, you know, the lower the ADP, like 1.2, is that player is being drafted on average at the 1.2, you know, the second overall pick, really, in round, you know, really the first overall pick, right? Sorry, I don't know why I said second overall pick, but the first overall pick, right? And so Justin Jefferson is the number one ranked player by ADP. Now, if you go down here, Cooper Kupp is the 6th overall player ranked by ADP right now. So that's how it goes. So the next one we have here is our value, column N. And this is where the points, your league setup, and all that go into play here. We've got a formula that Fantasy Six Pack uses to give a value based off of all of that information you put on the setup tab, and gives you an overall value for that player in comparison to everybody else that's left on the board. So right now, nobody's been drafted. So this is just the straight up value as we start the draft. We will also give a rank based off of that value as well. So 1 through however many, we've got over 300 players ranked in this cheat sheet. Now, as we go through the draft, and we'll show you this in just a second, these values will change. So as you start drafting players and taking them off the board, the overall values change. We've also got it broken down by position. So just quarterback, just running backs, just receivers, and just tight ends. Obviously, if you draft a running back, the quarterback only values do not change. So the running backs and the tight end values do not change, but the running back only value will change. And, you know, as it goes through the rest of the positions as well. But the overall will. So let's just go through this and show a quick example here. So if we say we're in a half PPR league, somebody takes Christian McCaffrey first. So what we're going to see here is that his overall value is 6.155. Underneath of him is, I believe, Jamar Chase at 6.0591. And what you also want to pay attention to is over here in the column P with the running backs. The running back values will now change. So we're going to see the overalls and the running back values change once I delete. So if you right click over on the far left with Christian McCaffrey and click delete, it's going to remove, and everybody's value then changes. Even Justin Jefferson's went up because he is now even more valuable. He's the most valuable player on the board than everybody else. And so that's what happens there. And so I'm not going to go one by one here. I'm just going to delete a whole large chunk. So Jefferson, Chase, Eckler, Tyreek Hill, Kelsey, Barkley, Jonathan Taylor, Chubb. Oh, yeah, that's good. So let's just remove those guys here. Delete. And you're going to see a whole bunch of players left on the board here. And as I told you, so the overall value and even the rank is going to change as you go throughout the draft, and players get taken in, you know, random order. They're not going to get drafted in the exact order of the sheet. There's no way that never happens. So what you're going to see here is the value and the rankings will then fluctuate. Players will move up and down as the draft moves on. And so we took away roughly 8 or 9 players total. So you're going to see here now that, you know, at first Ramondre was below Josh Allen, but now he's more valuable than Josh Allen with the players that have been taken off the board. And that's because you're noticing that, you know, as running backs get taken, the ones that are left start getting bumped up in value. And that's pretty typical, right? And that's why you see your quarterbacks kind of fall into the back end of the second round, at least your top guys and things like that. And so, the initial rankings might look like that Josh Allen's like a mid second round player, but in reality, as you go through the draft, he ends up dropping back just slightly and ends up becoming, more of a back end second round player according to the cheat sheet here. So what you're going to want to do to see this value as the draft goes on is what I do is I delete as I go. And then when it's my turn, I quickly sort by overall value. So I want to do smallest to largest. I want to do 1 through 300. And boom. Now you can do it by ADP. You can do it by that. You can do it by position, right? But that's what we see. Now I'm going to leave it here and just show you a couple more things. So what this cheat sheet is telling you at this point is not telling you who to exactly draft. It doesn't mean that whoever's at the top, that's 100% who you have to draft. Now, say this was round 12 and you had 6 receivers, 3 running backs, a quarterback, and a tight end, right? I don't even know if the math adds up there, but just go with me here. At this point in the draft, you're looking at the board and you're going, oh, I really need a running back. Now the board is 100% telling you take Cooper Kupp, right? But say you've had your slew of receivers, so you are good. You really need to focus on running back, and you know that, or at least that's what you want to do. There's 2 ways to then go, okay, I want to look at running backs only. That's what I'm fixated on. You can filter the position by just running backs. Click OK, and then everybody's gone. Or, and I'm going to clear this, you can go over to running back value and sort largest to smallest. Now this is opposite of rank. Rank is one's, smallest. You want to go, you want to see who's the best and to the worst, 1 to whatever. For the values, you want to see who has the highest. So largest to smallest. So we do largest to smallest here and it sorts it through that way. Right now, when you're done and you want to reset it, you're going to have to go back over to either the value rank or the overall value and do smallest to largest, etc. This is explained in the article as well, so you go ahead and check that out. But let's just say now we're up here and it's this looks like maybe the beginning of the second roundish for players that are picked. I don't know how many I deleted exactly, but say this was your team and you're looking at it. What I would do at this point with this data set where we sit now is I would 100% take Cooper Kupp. The reason being, right, you could have taken who got drafted? You could have taken Jamar Chase in the first round, right? I know he was taken, but if Cooper Kupp fell back to you with this player data set here, what this is telling you is that Cooper Kupp is this much more valuable than the next best player on the board at this point. Now, you could say, oh, I really want running back. Here's the difference, right? The running back difference in value here between 1 and the next, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 running backs here isn't that large, right? It's 0.6 points, right? In the formula. But the difference between Cooper Kupp and even just the next receiver is 0.5, almost 0.55. His value is so much greater. So if you pass on him, then you're giving up the best value on the board by such a large margin that I think it hurts your team than reaching for the running back because you kind of got fixated on that building that receiver running back build, right? Or the opposite, if you take a running back first and then, if Cooper Kupp wasn't this much better, and let's just say we get rid of Kupp, right? So if we do that right now, we're looking at kind of more of an even build here. This is where you can kind of pick and choose because the difference in the value here isn't quite as big. But with a guy like Kupp still left here, that's like the hands down, I'm taking that one on the board at this point. And that's where this cheat sheet really comes in handy. It updates as you go. The ADP rank updates as you go. It lets you know where you might be able to take a risk and say, okay, like once Ramondre comes around, he may, like if I delete all these players above him on the board, he's the number 1 on the board, but you could take a chance because his ADP is 11 spots away. You could take that chance. Or you just go, you know what? He is that much better than the rest. I'm just going to take my guy now and do it. And that's perfectly fine. Either way is good. Again, the cheat is not telling you who to pick, where to pick. It's just giving you the data and helping guide you through the decision process of your draft. And so I hope that was good for everybody. I appreciate you watching, and I hope to see you soon on the Fantasy Six Pack Discord. Again, use promo code F6P Sheets to save 15%.